How did I find out I was adopted? So it had to be like 2001 or whenever it was that I graduated from middle school. 8th grade graduation. So somewhere after that, or it's that summer, and I'm chilling. I'm chilling in the summer. I remember being at my house. It was a nice, beautiful summer day, and my next door neighbor is about my age. She's not exactly my neighbor. Her grandmother lived at the house next door. Anyway, we're about the same age. She happens to come out this day, so we're exchanging conversation. And there's another kid in the neighborhood. We all gather up when we go to this other kid's house. We sit down on the steps. And while we're sitting down on the steps, she says something randomly, like, I don't know. What I think happened was, you know how you are going back and forth with somebody, you're joking, you're taking shots at one another. And then she randomly says, I know something about you that you don't know. So that was odd. I kind of brushed it off. I didn't really ask, point blank, like, what's that? But she proceeded to say, I heard that you're adopted. And so immediately I'm making this face because I never heard that. So when she said it to me, I'm refuting what she's saying. And I'm basically saying, nah, I'm not adopted. I mean, not that I know of. All these thoughts running through my head. But I had no reason to believe that I was adopted. But it did stick with me. So after that conversation, after sitting out and hanging out with them, I eventually go back in the house. And, I walk in the house, my parents are there. And I say, they're both there in front of me, just chilling. And I say to them, yeah, so-and-so said that I was adopted. And I'm like, nah. Like I was so sure of myself. And I remember when I said that, they looked at each other. And they didn't say anything, but they looked at each other. And I don't remember if they said anything after that or not. But what I do remember is later on, same day, I think I had maybe gone back outside, played, but I remember coming back in the house, or I remember being approached by my foster parents, my adoptive parents, and them saying, hey, come here, son, we want to talk to you. And I'm thinking, man, I can't remember anything I did wrong, so I hope I'm not in trouble. And they brought me into the living room. And I remember they sat me down in the chair and they put their hands on my hands. And I can't remember if it was my mother or my father, but I felt like it was my father who basically broke the news to me and said, son, you are adopted. And when they told me, I was shattered. Because I was what I noticed about myself after that is, before that, I was a very confident child. I was jovial. I had confidence. I don't know, I didn't feel like I had a chip on my shoulder. I was just a fun-loving child. And when they told me that, I had so many thoughts, so many feelings. I remember right then, we all cried. We cried for a good little minute. After we cried, or even during the conversation, I remember looking up and I looked at this photo that we had in the house, one of the family photos. And when I looked up, it was of my father, and I remember pointing and saying, I look just like him. I remember saying that. I remember my mom saying, yeah, you look just like us, yes. And I mean, I truly felt that way. And it took time for me to eventually unravel these deep-seated beliefs I had held all my life about who I was. And I immediately went into an identity crisis. You know, I'm already at that age, where you go through all of these changes, and I'm getting ready for high school, and it tore me up. And I just remember having a chip on my shoulder immediately after that. And for the longest, I just had an attitude. I kept everything bottled up. I didn't want to tell nobody anything. For the longest, it really had a stronghold on me. And, I'm 36 now, and I'm just now telling this story. And I'm just now making it known that I'm on this journey. But the moments during and after I found out I was adopted were probably the hardest. And it changed me as a person. It shaped me as a person. It defined me as a person until I learned that it didn't define me, and it didn't need to change me. It made me a unique person, but I realized that it didn't have to consume me, and I could use these unique experiences to my advantage, and then I can talk about it, and hopefully my story will help others, know that they are not alone. We are in this together, and I'm hoping everything that I have to tell you from this point forward will help you get through your journey. If you're someone who learned about your adoption and you felt like you were blindsided by it, like I was, just know that it's gonna be okay. It doesn't have to consume you. It doesn't have to become your identity. You still got this. You can figure it out, and all you can do is do all you can. So just don't beat yourself up about it. Don't blame yourself, because I did that a lot. I blame myself for everything, and well, at a certain point, I didn't just blame myself. I was completely curious. I was filled with curiosity and mystique about who I was and why I was put up for adoption.